Maybe now and then they come around. Little do I know about you now. Though I'm pretty sure that you're the one. Go around the night and have some fun. Something about the way you make me feel. Everything about you can be real. I'll do anything to have you here, my dear.
getting the first pick. Oh, get three, Pyro, get three with the.
Blade Kid putting on a clinic. Whole team's down. Oh!
Nailed it! I told you to stop resisting.
Experience tranquility.
Good evening, Overwatch fans. Welcome back to Week 5 of the Tranquility Community's Transcendence tier. Tonight is a decisive matchup in Indigo Group B between a number 1 ranked Godhand taking on the number 2 ranked Ace Advantage. Godhand has played phenomenally so far based on what they've been dealt, but if I know one thing, it's that the chips fall only when they're played. And you can never be sure what Ace Advantage has up their sleeve. My name is Keelan Miles, coming at you live with Overwatch player, worst Overwatch player, and of course, Booth on production. Worst, how you feeling about the matchup tonight?
I'm very excited for this matchup. Actually, the number 1 ranked God Hand here, 4-0, Ace Advantage at that 3-1 slot. We're looking here if Ace Advantage can bring God Hand down to this thing. Season 5, God Hands did in fact go undefeated in Stage 1, so they're looking to replicate that performance in this stage as well. But we'll see if they can do that. They do have some very impressive players on their roster, with a lot of them showing up and just popping off consistently. So we'll see if Ace Advantage can even deal with these threats here. For example, Mini, I've been on the receiving end of his hit scan, and it is a sight to behold at how dominant he can be on that role.
Yeah, and as you said, you've played against Mini a decent bit. I know definitely in game and also probably a couple scrims. How do you recommend Ace Advantage handle that hit scan prowess that's going to be coming at him?
You really have to just kind of play to control the map and control angles and control line of sight against hit scan like an Ashe or like a Widowmaker. It comes down to how your tanks kind of block off line of sight so that your DPS can deal with the Widow or the Ashe better. Because if the Ashe or the Widow is going to be picking you from one spot and your DPS know that, they can shut them down with pre-fires or just holding the angle. So that's kind of one way you can deal with it. Or another way is you try to ignore that kind of the Ashe or Widowmaker and go for this more brawly, just rush down the tanks, rush down the front line style. But we'll see which one Ace Advantage goes for, even if they've done their homework on God Hands here. If they have, they should know where the threats lie and what they kind of have to do around it. But both these teams coming in here looking strong. Going to start out on Nepal. That is our opening map, as pre-decided as all control maps, first control maps here. So yeah, going to Nepal should be pretty interesting.
Yeah, especially on Sanctum, which on first glance you never think it's a sniper map, but with those long sight lines all the way from one corner of the map to the other, you can never really be sure you're safe. So I expect we'll be seeing Mini running some sort of sniper there. But the other ones, snipers aren't that prevalent. So what kind of hit scan do you think we'll be seeing them rock there?
As always, Ashe is pretty strong right now. It's much stronger than a Widowmaker into a Brawl style because you can get that Dynamite over the Rhine Shield, get that mass amount of fire damage, get that Bob onto the point or to disrupt the front line, enemy front line, and that's kind of where that Ashe kind of fills the niche where between the Widowmaker and the McCree, where it's not as mid range as McCree, it's not as long range as Widow, but it has that more utility and that Dynamite. It's hard to say that you pure damage is utility, but that damage that gets around shields that those two characters just lack entirely. So that's where that Ashe can fit in, especially on Sanctum, where you can see some rushdown styles. But I wouldn't count out seeing the Widows on more maps because it is such a high ceiling pick where you can do a lot of crazy things on Widowmaker. That one shot potential without a Mercy Pocket that the Ashe might need for some heroes, that can be very deadly for some teams that aren't ready for it. And if their DMs or their shields aren't on point to cover those line of sights, cover those angles where that Widowmaker might be peeking, it can get very deadly very quickly for the enemy squishies.
Yeah, and we'll be having to watch the backlines for that because it's never a fun time when you know one mistake could cost your life and also your skull. But you talked a bit about the sort of Rushtown style, which we could be seeing going into Nepal quite a bit. The brawl is always very good there, but do you think anything else could be on the table as we roll into the first map, which is going to be Shrine?
So Shrine here is actually very interesting. You can run a lot of different things. You can run a more ball or a Winston kind of dive here with some Echo Tracer, because there is just so many flank angles. You can have your flankers sit up top on the top right side or left side, depending on what side of the map you are, on that high ground, kind of control that space. They can get from high ground to high ground very quickly, or you can have them flank around Elephant and kind of pick off the shoot at the back line from that safe angle where there's plenty of walls for them to run back to, even a mega for them to retreat to. So the dive has a lot of prevalence here because there is so many flank angles, but also the ball, because the point is so close and because you kind of can force them into funneling into you, the ball can get a lot of effective use just by controlling point, controlling chokes, controlling the angles. And even with, let's say if they had a Mei, for example, you can wall up to the high ground and even control the high ground like a dive would.
Yeah, and I have to assume that might be what Godhand is going for, but obviously it's more of a traditional double bubble right now with Mini rocking this McCree, which is a little bit scary because McCree, even though he has the roll, it is kind of hard to get out of danger, especially if Slimy Spy gets on you. But Mini is just going to be going for an initial flank around the side away from their team, which could be quite deadly. Luckily, they got Orsted there to help him out. As ace advantage, they're going for the long rotation around the point, hoping to isolate Mini, who was not ready for the entire team to catch him right there. Even with the best flashbang in the world, that would have only bought them a couple more breaths before they were back in spawn. Now the initial capture is starting to go over to ace advantage, and they definitely have the CC and the composition to hold on to it, but no one from Godhand has really gone down yet.
Yeah, you see here Godhand playing really slow after losing that McCree. The McCree a little bit out of position, not expecting them to rotate so quickly. With that Lucio, the monkey will be jumping in here, getting bubbled. Now the disengage coming out here from ace advantage.
Yep, and immediate flip off. I admire the backup from ace advantage though. They're ready to get back in there. Bold already finding Cube. This is very good, especially with Lucksmith managing to stay alive there against all odds, getting healed up now, shielding their team as Beaconox getting that freeze on a Mini, not going to give him a chance to shoot him in the head as they did it before them. Tenacity getting his last cleanup kill as the point goes back over to ace advantage.
Ace advantage doing a really good job of kiting out. Yes, they lose the point, but they guarantee more of a chance to win that fight because their comp is a lot better at just running at the enemy front line after they use cooldowns, because they have the Mei, because they have the McCree, those things that can lock them down. And the D.Va and Reinhardt do a surprising amount of damage, and especially even sometimes burst damage with those rockets. So we're going to be seeing here Godhands trying to get angles for that McCree, sending the monkey in there to gather his ult, and then push enemies out of position so that McCree can get value.
And you can see Andy trying their best to do that now, but going to dive out, not going to quite have the primal rage yet, as ace advantage of push right onto the low ground, sitting underneath Godhand, not usually where you want to see them, and Godhand is going to punish them. Luckily, Lucksmith does have that nano boost, which is a fight turn if I've ever seen one, but, well, they're not the only lucky one, as Andy has one as well, and they're using that amplified Tesla cannon to clean up the point for Godhand.
Yeah, the Nano Monkey coming out there, getting a pick onto the back line extremely quickly. A surprising amount of burst damage can come out there from that jump and a melee combo in midair. It can basically almost one-shot a squishy with that Nano. But now we have coming in here, we have the beat, we have the window, we have the main ult. This fight will be extremely difficult for Godhands. They have to kite out with their tanks. The Monkey has to use ult to kite out, and they can even use the grab to try and kite this Blizzard.
But not really going to get to kite right now. Ace advantage going to have to use this sound barrier immediately into the fight. Beaconox, they're going to be using that cover to get right inside, get the freezes, and oh, a nice clean one-shot headshot on an Orsted. That might be the fight turner right there. It was trading back and forth for a second, and Andy is keeping those trades going, but losing that tracer so early is going to hurt, but Andy is getting the cleanup kills. This is looking nice right now from Godhand, and well, ace advantage, they're just putting a pause on the fight, a moratorium, as they regroup to try and push again, as Godhand laps them.
Yeah, Beaconox couldn't find any angle there to ult. They're sitting on this Baptiste ult for so long. It's such a quick to charge ultimate. You can even just throw it out sometimes just for your Baptiste, just so you can start building a new one. I might be wondering if they're holding on to these ults for too long, but you have to play split here if you're still Godhands. Let's see if that's what they do.
Everett going to get a chance to use that ult thanks to that immortality field, but it's finally going to come out now. Mini coming from this crossfire with that high noon. Isn't going to find anything, but it's going to get tanks low, and Everett through that field is going to get the kills they need. Mini going to wish they had hit someone with that high noon, because now their team is crumbling without that pick.
Yeah, a good job there, taking the point control with that Blizzard, forcing them to split off. No real ability for any of the DPS to kind of get the angles they need because they're such in danger of getting run over, because they push the tanks out, there's no one to draw any of that threat. And now you only have the Nano available with the rally a little bit later behind here for Godhands. That Nano should probably be going onto the Monkey on the engage so that he can live long enough to get enough value to get his ult up to then live longer. But this Reaper's out of position. No Wraith and he's falling back, but they don't chase.
Bold just barely escaping thanks to that Wraith form, and Slimy Spy is going to get killed before the remet can happen. Now, Ace Advantage is down one, but they equalize quickly. Andy, though, in the Primal Rage, could be the fight turner, creating a lot of chaos on the point. They're targeting these squishy people, but Tenacity keeps their team alive for a little bit longer thanks to that sound barrier. But those resources are running dry now, folks. Everett, no more healing from them. They've been dead a while as Andy saps away the life force of Ace Advantage as one by one the stragglers fall. The point flips back over to Godhand, and I don't think this overtime is going to be going on any longer as Godhand goes up 1-0 over Ace Advantage.
Yeah, the Reaper going out of position, getting his Wraith form forces him to, when the Monkey jumps in, he can't trade back damage because he is in danger of dying if he does get hit by a rare anti-nade, or if the Monkey just does enough damage to him in that bubble, he can't hit back to lifesteal, and he usually does lifesteal, there's a chance that the damage isn't enough to counteract the Tesla cannon with the Nano Monkey. So he playing too passive, there's no damage down onto the Monkey, who, when he jumps in, should be a prime target to burst down. You have the Reaper, have the Mei, but because the Reaper's in danger, he has to back off, and the Monkey creates enough space for the DPS to get around, get their ults back up, and get the value out of those ultimates. A good shadow there coming out from Lucksmith, but it was just not enough. The Ana dying a little bit too late there. But now pushing in here, we do have the similar compositions from both sides. One looking to control the point, and the other looking to control that high ground. And we'll be seeing which strategy kind of comes ahead.
Yeah, Godhand, very strong pick-based composition right now with the Tracer and the Doomfist. It's going to be a lot of burst damage coming in here as soon as they commit. You can see Mini is getting those cooldowns ready, waiting for just the right moment to strike, probably waiting on Andy to call it too once they're all healed up. Forced now poking away. Ace Advantage once again almost getting the first cap, but the engage comes in. Immortality Field though saves all of Ace Advantage. Lucksmith will fall though. That punch did do quite a number as, oh man, each one of these team fights, none of the teams escapes without casualty. Even Orsted coming back at the last moment. Oh, this is dicey, but Equinox is going to even it out. Keep Ace Advantage's hold on this point just barely.
Oyster trying to save that point there after a rough start. Yo, Doomfist goes in the backline, but he's not in line of sight of that Zarya to get that bubble, so he is quickly taken out, and you've lost most of your damage. Tracer there doesn't actually do that much damage against the Reinhardt with the armor, and especially with Lucio peeling him off, but a great job there to gild that pulse bomb, but it just wasn't enough, and now they have to do the same thing. This Doomfist is going to find it really difficult to push into this point, but a massive anti-nade coming out, this could be the chance.
Yeah, that Immortality Field, the only thing standing between Ace Advantage and death, but they're able to use the time bot to find Andy. This is crucial. Now they're snowballing this into a nice fight win, not connecting with the wall off of that punch right now. So even if you're able to finish off Everett, big if is going to get healed up immediately by Tenacity. It's not going to be enough. Board, even with that nano boost, isn't even going to be able to get a kill. Mini coming in for the clutch. Maybe trying to get a last minute point flip, but Ace Advantage is going to roll back into the point and continue holding, continue building percentage, drawing this fight out. Godhand, this could be a questionable play, but Mini has gotten their third kill, so it might be possible. Slimy Spy going down as well. Mini has gotten 4 in this fight, and now Andy, the Primal Punch, it's looking to even things out. Mini stealing it away, though, at just the last second, getting the last elimination round with Tenacity, and flipping the point over to Godhand.
A great job there by Mini to get on that high ground and kind of use his cooldowns properly. You engage, back off, reset your cooldowns, go back in. Really good job there. He gets 1 or 2 picks at a time, and that's all you really need if you do that 2 or 3 times in a row. But now, coming out here, they're going to be looking to just trace roll each other.
But both supports caught by the grab, but they're grab themselves right now. Godhand going to be isolating those people on the high ground, but Ace Advantage just behind that wall. They had too much sustain to be bursted down by God Hand. A couple of members survived, but they're just going to throw themselves on the point because it's last fight territory for God Hand.
Yeah, it looked really good there. The grab come out with that pulse bomb combo, but with the beat and with the lamp there, it just wasn't enough damage to both break through the shields from the Lucio ult and then the lamp on top of it. You do trade out Everett, but the rest of the team there with that symbol has enough. But now coming in here, you do have the beat, you do have the nano. Nano should be coming down onto that monkey to buy your space that you need, and the beat should be there to supplement the grab. Nice pick from Mini!
This could be the game turner right here on top of that amazing sound barrier. Perfectly timed from Cube to allow the aggression to proceed uninhibited as this is the cleanest fight win we've seen so far. No casualties at all on the side of Godhand as they get 30% and ticket on the board.
So when I said the Nano should go down to the monkey, I meant the Doomfist, because he's basically a tank at that point, and he got all the space he needed. But now coming in here, you do have this Death Blossom and this Shadow here available on the side of Ace Advantage, and not much to block it, just the monkey bubble, and that oftentimes can be a little bit hard to do. But Mini, a little bit out of position, getting booped in the air. This could be his downfall.
Now, after that anti-nade doesn't hit, they've got to go for this. Oh, and it's big. The slam down to the ground. That is going to be a quick reset from Ace Advantage. They are building up an ult advantage, and they can't afford to waste time here.
No, cannot afford to waste time at all. Only 2 fights left here. If this one fight goes quickly, you have another one, but you don't want to give too many ults over to the side of God Hands. You want to make this either a quick, clean defeat or a fight win with a long slogged out with these ultimates. That Sim ult, such a massive ultimate. One of the best ults in the game, actually, for just controlling space and actually denying so much damage. But taking the TP bottom, let's see if this pays off for them. There will be some space here for the Doomfist.
Oh, but that is a big boop. Picanox knocked away from the team. Not going to get value from that ultimate. Ace Advantage, that was their big play. Lucksmith, though, looking to equalize it. Ooh, even without a nano boost, Lucksmith doing work, but now they're grabbed on point, and Reinhardt doesn't have a lot to do in the grab besides hold shield, but the swinging the hammer, well, that aggression is going to pay off as 90% is going to be crossed by Godhand and immediately flipped by Ace Advantage. Only 4 on the point right now, but who on Godhand is going to be able to get back? It's going to be Orsted, but instantly taken down by Slimy Spy. The shot culling is there to make sure no stall is going to find Perch on their point as Ace Advantage, they tie up Nepal 1-1.
Yeah, a great pin there by Lucksmith, taking the team out of the fight, and now you have enough time. There's not enough damage that can come out from the side of Godhands to try and burst you down that much. So you have the time to build up that Sim ultimate, and the Sim ultimate, like I said, so strong a controlling point. Once it comes out, there's just not much the enemy Ana can even do. Having to go through an entire kind of portioned off side of the map to try and get any amount of healing done onto their own team, it forces them to move out of positions they're not comfortable with, which allowed the Zarya there from Slimmy Spy to go and pick her off, and kind of the end of that fight there once they have that point. Kind of hard to take, but now moving on to Sanctum, we'll be seeing a kind of mirrored composition here, almost exactly, except opting into the Ana here on Godhands, going for more of that playmaking with that nade and that sleep, instead of the more defensive cooldowns with that lamp. And we'll see here if the nades and the sleeps can outweigh the lamp.
Yeah, I do have to wonder. Kitten, they've got to play carefully here because they were going for a lot of risky anti-nade spots, and if they get punished, that could go badly. But Lucksmith, that lamp is already burned away as Bold takes the duel in the backline. Orsted not going to be caught by that flashbang, and because of that, Godhand is going to have the momentum they need to push Ace Advantage back. But this is a slugfest right now, folks. Eventually, Orsted will win that duel when the DPS are coming in, but that's a nice shatter. The Lucksmith looking to follow up, but they're not going to get a chance to, as Andy does get that nano boost, and they're not even gonna have to use a shatter of their own. That nano boost, it really turned the fight right there. That could be one measured advantage Godhand is gonna have.
Yep, the Ana, obviously the nano boost, such a fast building ultimate, similar to the Ant Matrix there from Everett, but it does have the added ability of making your Reinhardt just that much deadlier, whereas the BAP ultimate is much more for the backline. But you saw there that the Tracer here, instead of the Reaper, allowed them to kind of try to force out Bold and section him off from the fight, allowing him to get taken out early, and now they have all the damage advantage.
Oh, Oh, and that's a hard read right there. Slimy Spy was caught up too far without a bubble. They are going to survive, though, which is thanks to Everett's amazing healing through the Ant Matrix, but it's going to run out soon. So, Godhand, they need to be finding some kills fast, but this push from Ace Advantage has been what they needed. They're on the point now, and no one's going to get them off of there. They're stuck like Lou, and it's going to be the flip over to the red. Ace Advantage taking the point.
Yeah, but kind of seeing here the differences in this Ana versus the Baptiste. The Baptiste offering you that more defensive ability, the Lamp able to save you through so many ultimate combinations, especially that Tracer Pulse one that the Ana just can't save your squishies from. But also, you do have here the Nano Boost coming up. You can see why going down onto that Reinhardt, you can create so much space, get so much ultimate shadow. Oh, you killed the enemy McCree! This Ana doing work.
And that could be a fight turner right there if I've ever seen one, especially as Mini pressures down all the shields from the sideline. Lucksmith has nothing to defend themselves as Orsted bursts them down, and Mini, even though the two go off the edge, it's not going to matter too much in the long run. This healing right on Andy is so strong, especially with the Nano Boost now. Oh, Fico going to save themselves at the last second, but the anti-nade into the shot is going to shut them down. This bubble is the only thing standing between Slimy Spy and death, and even as Ace Advantage try and contest the point, it's looking like a one fight for Godhand.
Yeah, even though Mini jumped himself off the map, may have cost them to use a few extra ultimates, give up some extra percentage they might not have wanted, but again, you win the fight. But now, coming up here, you have the BAP ultimate almost available. That in front of a Graviton Surge, especially with the Reinhardt Fire Strike to go through, is absolutely deadly. And because you don't have a lamp to save your squishies, any squishy you call on that is just completely dead. So we'll be seeing here what they can do with that, if that's what exactly what they go for.
Oh, that's an immediate grab from Slimy Spy, but they're not really able to follow up because, like you said, a nice anti from Kitten stems any aggression that Ace Advantage might have had. They drop their guard to go attack, and you can never think that Godhand is vulnerable. Never.
May have wanted to wait there for the Baptiste ultimate so that you can get a lot more damage out with that grab. You didn't really have any follow-up there. The Reaper ult on paper does a lot of damage, but you've got to put a shield in front of that, and its damage is severely limited. But now here, going to be rushing onto the right side, just trying to zerg the point as soon as possible. We'll see if that pays off for them. It hasn't in the past.
Oh, but that Shatter finding the opening. Lucksmith does give their life for it, though, as they get stunned right as it comes out. Ficonuts, though, in the back line, pressuring down everyone. They got a lot of people low right there, but Mini is uncontested from the high ground. This could be game-changing, folks. But, well, Mini can't carry a fight on their own, even if they have before, because Ace Advantage are going to flip the point back over 60% and building.
We've reset ourselves here to a neutral ult state. Not much available, just the High Noon, and while the High Noon is a scary zoning ability, it can often be mitigated just by quick rotations or smart ability usage. But we'll see how they want to use this, keeping Bolt in the back. But now here, a massive anti-stun combo coming out, giving them the push.
Yeah, Bold gonna be stunned out of that. Andy actually charged Bold, and now it's gonna be Orsted who does not have to worry about that McCree in the backline. No stun to keep them at bay, as Mini doesn't have to worry about the High Noon dual lane either, as the point is gonna flip over now, and they have Mini going up to the front line to try and stop any stragglers from getting in. I think that's it, folks. Has Godhand proven why they are undefeated so far in this stint of Tranquility, going up 1-0 over Ace Advantage.
Yes, Godhands may be undefeated, but Ace Advantage are going blow to blow at them on those maps there. Each map was very close, trading back the point back and forth. Even with fights that maybe shouldn't have been as close for Ace Advantage, they were. So a really good showing here on this first map, and it is only control, so plenty more maps to play here to try and push back into this, and you got a good showing to start here. But I think it's interesting to say here how we've seen this difference with the BAP versus the Ana. One team loving that more playmaking ability that the Ana nade gives you. A massive lamp can save a lot of your members, but a massive nade can win you fights outright because it just starts so much damage. And I mean, when your healers can't do any healing to your tank can just get run over so much at the time. So maybe that's why they want their Ana. They have so much faith in their Ana to kind of carry the fights for them. So good looks so far from both of these teams, and looking to see the next map.
Yeah, and that next map will be good, but real quick, folks, Tranquility right now is doing a very good thing that you can find out all about if you type exclamation point donate or exclamation point charity in the chat. We are currently working with Rise Above the Disorder. It's a nonprofit dedicated to making mental health care accessible to everyone everywhere. And their goal right now is to create and sustain a universal mental health care system that is open to everyone. Right now, we're raising money for them, and like I said, exclamation point donate or exclamation point charity to find out more, or go to https://tiltify.com plus tranquility plus tranquility season 6 event week. I'm sure there's a link somewhere in chat booth. You can follow me up on that. So make sure you stay updated on that because we'll be working with that all the time.
Yeah, it's a great cause to give for, and honestly, just here having you here tonight is also just good enough as much. Giving your views and just kind of supporting this on the sidelines even is very much appreciated. But it would also be appreciated if you would donate. It's a very
Also
good
want your mom.
hmm?
For a good cause, for a good cause.
For a good
But
cause, of course.
now getting back into the game where Ace Advantage didn't have the advantage in this fight, but they definitely put up a good fight throughout all of that. Definitely going toe to toe with Godhand throughout all of that, but Godhand overall seemed to have the better mentality. I think that's a good word for it because it felt like Godhand was willing to take these risky fights and they had a lot of faith. Like, normally I would have called some of the fights that Godhand took way too early, but they really had faith that they could pull something out in the end, and those risky gambits did pay off a lot.
I don't know if it's more so mentality, more so they just have this kind of X factor, and they have these carries. Like I said, not only their DPS like Mini, but also the off support, the flex support on that Ana, having that kind of that X factor to carry fights that other teams without that kind of key star players that can win fights for them outright through mechanical outplays or great decision making. They don't have that, so they have to play a more unified style. The style that those fights where it is losing, it's less likely for them to come back into it because the more unified play would indicate that they kind of lose those fights. But God Hands here can just clutch out fights with these players so easily. And Ace Advantage, they do. It's not that they don't have these great players that can do similar things. It's just that God Hand has these more explosive players. It seems like at times, and Ace Advantage here, with their unified strategy, is doing very well for themselves. It's not like this is just God Hand's just a better team, so they'll win every time. No, I'm just saying that there's a little bit more of the variability, whereas Ace Advantage has a very strong strategy and foundation that they can use to kind of swing fights and maps in their favor on an overall basis.
Yeah, and that is something we're gonna have to keep an eye out for, seeing if the clutch is more than the coordination. Not that Godhand doesn't have coordination, but they're gonna have to put their abilities to the test on our next map, which is going to be Volskaya Industries. It's going to be quite interesting to see because this is a lot more of a slow-paced map. I'm wondering if either of these teams wants to commit to the high ground right now, or if they want to instead stick to this brawly style and just try and take the high ground from the low ground.
So, a little bit of personal experience here with God Hands. Attacking this point was absolutely awful as a main tank because they had some damage dealers that were dealing some damage. They're going to control that high ground. They just, on your rotations, they punish you so difficult, and then when you try to push out of those small chokes, they do so much damage to you. So it's going to be interesting what Ace Advantage goes here. They've shown that they like the ball more so here on the Paul, so we'll see if they go for that there, but they could run into a problem there on attack against God Hands' defense because it does kind of punish the longer rotation that Paul has and their inability to deal with threats such as the Ash very consistently because you don't have something like a Monkey or a Ball or a Diva there to kind of contest them. Instead, you're relying on the fact that you take that space as a team and you move into then control more map space as you go along, hitting down your enemy front line. So we'll see what they go for here. We'll see if God Hands and Ace Advantage swap up the strategies at all. I doubt they will. I think they'll go more for that more high ground focused style that God Hands had in the first map. And probably we'll be seeing the ball coming out here as well from Ace Advantage, but we'll see if there's any surprises.
One surprise I'm hoping for. That's not so much a surprise, but we didn't get to see it before. I really want to see the sniper. Minnie, you got hyped up, and I saw the McCree. It was fantastic, but I'm really hoping to see some Ashe play if I can get it, because, well, well, the worst has been hyping you up as the best.
I mean, my skull on main tank would indicate that he is the best because there was a lot of bullet holes left in it by an Ashe. So, what we'll be seeing here, actually, we'll be seeing a change up here. Ace Advantage going away from that Reinhardt, going onto that Monkey, kind of mirroring the double bubble style. This here will be a lot more efficient at taking out that Ashe. You see that Ashe coming out here from Mini, as I suggested it might be happening. So we will be seeing that Ashe here, but the Monkey and the Tracer have a lot more ability to deal with that Ashe than the Reinhardt they showed on the Paul. So a good swap here, maybe expecting there to be more snipers on this high ground. They can get around the flank with that Tracer, as the other part of the group, the Zarya, the Ana, the Brig, they can kind of fend for themselves as they rotate towards high ground, either left or right, depending on what the team wants. We'll be seeing here what they can do here on these similar compositions.
Ace Advantage going to be playing this very carefully, scouting out for that sniper, and uh-oh, they've located someone. Orsted is on a run for their life, just barely escaping right now as Ace Advantage chooses the high ground over that little old Tracer. Now, with the cooldowns ready, Ace Advantage going to be pushing out the first bubble committed, and just taking a stronghold on the point, but they can't stay there for long, because Mini just has superior long-range damage. Going to be going for the Coach Gun Boop as Bolt does find Orsted before they get taken out themselves, but in that split second when Mini wasn't looking, that's when Ace Advantage chose to commit. Lucksmith didn't quite have the support they needed though, as once Mini was out there with the damage boost once again, it's gonna be 1 kill, 2 kill, and it's just skeet shooting for them as they clean up the remnants in the garage right there, and Godhand holds strong.
Yep, you're going to be seeing this here from Godhands. They're going to be kiting back once the Monkey engages with that bubble. They're going to be kiting back on that Ashe, using the Coach Gun, using the Ana Nade or the Ana Sleep to keep them up, to fall back into that room and kind of play from there, because the Monkey can't push into that room, can't even push into that choke, because we'll get beamed down by the Zarya, by the Ashe damage, with that damage boost coming out here from Cubed. So we'll be seeing if there's a change up in strategy here, but Ace Advantage looking to repeat the same thing, trying to get onto the Ashe as fast as possible, but Mini, no stranger, he'll be trying to try to kite back here, but massive anti.
Ooh, and that's a big dynamite into the middle right there. Econox just couldn't get the healing they needed, and it's just cleanup mode for Worsted right now. Mini throws the bob in, but that's just feeling a little lazy. Just want to get the cleanup right there, and they don't have to aim.
Yeah, well, it was interesting. The Mini wasn't falling back to the opposite high ground, instead holding that choke, probably in giving some respect to Bolt there on the flank that was flanking high ground at the time. But you can even see if you fall back there, you can kind of just push that with your Ana, with your Mercy, with your Ashe, and kind of push Bolt back. But we'll be seeing them holding the high ground here. Monkey jump coming out with that bubble, but push back.
Ooh, and Andy going way up into the front line. Going to be 1, 2, down to the Monkey, and this is so good. The nano boosted Tesla cannon has always been a threat, and those 4 kills showing why.
Yep, you're going to be seeing a good ult rotation coming out here. The nano boost onto the Monkey to gather his ult, and now you have that with the Mercy ult and the grab. This is a very difficult fight if you are Ace Advantage. You don't have that grab available. You do have the nano boost, however. Nano boost going onto the Monkey to create space. If the Monkey can force the Zarya to panic grab it, or something else of that matter, then. But instead, a grab into the spawn? Into the spawn choke.
This unprompted aggression is really working in the favor of Godhand right now. The immediate 2 kills. And the thing is, because they're changing up how they defend each and every time, Ace Advantage doesn't have a way to adapt. They don't have a way to prepare for how they're going to attack, because Godhand is changing the terms of the duel every single fight.
Yeah, they're changing the location, but also the tempo. Starting out the first fight, very slow and methodical, waiting for them to come to them. Second fight, a little bit more aggressive, holding that choke. Third, in their face in the spawn door. But now that they can finally get their ults off here, we'll see if that can give them the advantage they need to try and take over this one.
Ooh, and Mini going down so early before the Bob can even come out is going to be crucial. I don't know if Cubed is going to want to res that, especially with Ace Advantage sitting right on top of Mini's corpse. But somehow Cubed does get it off, but Mini not going to commit that Bob right now. The massive ult advantage Ace Advantage has is mostly depleted, only 2 left in the bank. And I think Godhand is going to count that as a consolation prize going into this second point.
I mean, yeah, one of the downsides of that faster aggression with the tempo with the ultimates is that since you're using them so fast to end fights so quickly, you don't really have the time to build up your other ultimates while using those. Like, the grab happened, and usually that would be your time to build a bunch of ult charge, but then everyone just died so quickly that there wasn't any real time to build them. So now you just had a 5 ult advantage on the ace advantage side, and now coming in is, they have the grab advantage and only the bomb available, the nano soon to come. This could be dangerous.
Especially with Mini finding Econox right there. That might just be the fight ender because there's no stun at all to stop the aggression from Andy. They can get out scot-free unless Aurora hits asleep, but that's not looking likely right now as they're playing great out of that on a sightline.
Yep, now with that pick, you've bought time where they can't just roll over second fight with that Graviton Surge. Now you have that nano available to go down on the tank if it's needed, or even just put it on Mini. I mean, he's already hitting so many shots, so might as well. But you also have that Pulse Bomb available. Now that's the thing that could be interesting. A Pulse Bomb onto this Brigitte could end this fight before it even starts.
Yep, and this is what they're looking for now. Not going to be a back to stop it either as Tenacity falls to the bomb from Orsted. Now Orsted, hungry for more, is going to look for it, but Mini's stealing it away. But I don't think they mind. Orsted, they got their fun, and Andy is going to get the 3K. Andy, oh my word. These, both Lucksmith and Andy, but Andy in particular, have been devastating on these Primal Rages.
Yeah, very good Primal Rage though, but maybe not needed. You did use 4 ultimates though to hold off that point, but now you're coming in here again, an ult disadvantage. This is similar to first fight. You're going to try to get this grab off before the enemy team can get their ultimates, hopefully to build up that Bob and build up that Nano before the just overwhelming amount of Qs that can come out. Just kind of take this point for them.
Yeah, Ace advantage is, according to the namesake, playing almost entirely off the ult advantage, but Lucksmith not going to be able to get the punish onto Aurora, and that could hurt them. Not going to really get the chance to use any of that nano boost, and with those ultimates already committed and they're still losing people, Ace advantage, that might have been their one chance, and it went by. They did get one tick now, and Fikonox able to find Andy with the high noon. That's good, but this one advantage means they need to find a lot more than that if they want to hold on. Ticks now. This could get dicey, but it's just the Primal Raging Lucksmith on point. And even though Bold is there to follow up on the chaos they create, it may not be enough to turn to this point. Godhand is playing this well. They're not letting too much happen, and even though you wouldn't have liked to give up that much space with still 30 seconds left, they still managed to turn it around.
I mean, yeah, what's most important is winning the fight at the end of the day. Maybe they gave up a tick too many, but at that point you have to call the risk versus reward. Is it worth it to try and play a little bit faster and potentially deny that tick, or maybe lose the fight off of that? And they made that decision, and they'll have to live with it no matter how this map goes. But now the only thing available here, the Pulse from the Bob coming out to counter that aggression. This looks like a very difficult fight for Ace.
Yep, though. Orsted immediately finding Fikonox. We've seen bad fights start like that before, but with Tenacity going down as well, I don't think the pattern's going to repeat itself. Though Lucksmith and Bold finding the kills is nice. They really don't have the staying power to follow up on them, as that's a nice stick. Bold going to get a victory cry as the point fades out of their control. An ace advantage, they're held with only 74% on the second point.
Yep, I mean, after the kind of the very difficult first point, you kind of have to take that as ace advantage. Only 3 minutes to push that, and you get 2 1/3 of a tick. That's pretty good for you. You do have a very good chance on this defense. It's a lot harder for Mini to get that advantage on the Ashe like you would on this natural defensive high ground. But if he does opt to go for the Ashe, which he probably won't, if he does, they're going to probably be looking to put him up on that high ground to do what he did on that defense, kind of turn the tables on ace advantage and make them try to have to jump into the Ashe. That is kind of their goal. I doubt we see the Ashe. Oh,
Ready for battle.
maybe I'm wrong. Does look like we'll be seeing the Ashe unless there is some changes. They are still in spawn, and we see actually a mirrored composition here coming out from both teams. This has been interesting. Both of these teams have been very much using that Tracer. It's been a very big duel between Orsted and Bold there on the Tracer, but it looks like they'll be swapping up the Tracer here. Bold going over that Ashe, probably more comfortable on that hit scan, that longer range hit scan, and Fikonox will be taking up the role of Tracer to deal with Orsted, and I do not envy his job. Orsted has been doing so grand here on that Tracer, and Bold here having to contest with Mini's Ash. Even if they have the defensive advantage, it's going to be a task nonetheless. Maybe seeing how these mirrored compositions go into each other, both of them looking to control that high ground and play a slower style against the enemy team and kind of get their Ashes to do a lot of the damage while the Tracers control the flank.
Yeah, free rotation through the front door is going to be how Godhand starts off as Orsted and Figonox face off for the first time in the Tracer duel. It's going to be Godhand going up to the left-hand side high ground, has Bold going for this duel, but it's going to be a bubbled Zarya who is their first target. Lucksmith loses their bubble though as they drop to the low ground to finish off Andy. Now, not going to have that main tank and not really a chance of rezzing them, so Godhand is more or less trapped unless Mini finds Bolt, opens up a lot of space right now as Cubed is able to get Andy once there's no sniper covering them.
Yeah, and what we're seeing here, the enemy Winston's jumping to the other side of the map. It's an even split on both sides. The Tracer engaging on the enemy team while the Monkey as well. But Mini, that X Factor, like I talked about, getting the pick on Figonox, this could be their chance to turn this fight. The Monkey going low, Bubble coming out, and it's not looking good.
Yeah, Lucksmith got antied there, not able to escape, not able to get a bubble to clear it off, especially as Orsted drops the pulse bomb, a little parting gift to Bold on the high ground, saying, okay, we're not having a Tracer duel anymore, but I can still remind you what it feels like to lose as Godhand. They are taking this first point with time to spare, so Ace Advantage gonna have to play this second point very, very carefully.
Yep, an Ace Advantage only having that Nano to start out here. This is the time for a snowball fight already here taking off Figonox. He will have a quick, oh, Mini going down. That's not good. The quickest spawn, but they do have the res, the quickest of spawns in the game. Some think it's 2 CP spawns, but no, in fact, it is a res. So, we're pushing in here. The Nano available to the this Monkey, but also the Bob to peel.
Yeah, Lucksmith getting anti though is kind of nullifying the effect of this nano boost. Barely escaping with their life right there, and good thing for it too, because otherwise that could have been one hell of a snowball.
We'll see the Bob coming out here, the Nano as well, zoning off this Ash. Ash is in trouble, but able to run away. The Bob not managing to go to the point, but we'll be having a firing angle, but trading Zarya's is not good here for the attack, as you want to get a massive man advantage if you are attacking 2CP because those spawns are so close.
Though with Andy keeping the team occupied in the inside room here, could have been a chance to just steal a tick, especially as the respawns are coming in from Godhand. They're ready to take another clean fight as Ace Advantage is trying to regain their high ground positioning. The Bob on point is going to slow things down. Bold having nice positioning there, but Worsted winning over Figonox once again is going to make it so tough, especially as Figonox just got to that pulse bomb. You would have wanted to use that to stop this aggression, as only a sliver of a tick is left. Ace Advantage need to get some kills now, but they're not materializing. Figonox, it's up to them to turn this fight around. They need to land a big pulse bomb here and now, because the kills are looking all blue to me, but they fall as the pulse bomb drops to the ground out of their cold, dead hands, as Godhand goes up 2-0 over Ace Advantage, looking a lot stronger on Volskaya than Nepal.
Yeah, it looked really good there for Ace Advantage, trading out those Zaryas, but the res is coming out on both sides, and at that point the Monkey with the Nano boost had already created so much space, pushing the Ash so far into the backline that the Ash wasn't actually doing much onto the enemy team, and Mini had all the space he needed to do the damage, and we know how dangerous Mini is with space, and this kind of just showed Godhand's strength lies in that Mini Orsted combo, supplemented by the rest of their team. Here on Godhands. It's just really good play there to kind of play around the star players in their Ash and their Tracer. Orsted even kind of playing a little bit more of a very aggressive Tracer, trying to control flanks from the enemy team and doing a very good job of it.
Yeah, it was honestly phenomenal. They tried it 2 separate tracers to try and shut down Orsted, and neither of them could quite manage it. It was really something to behold. Bold made a strong standing on that Ash, but even they couldn't keep them down for long because, well, Tracer, with how fast she is, she's back in the fight, ready to resume your duel in no time.
Yeah, I mean, Godhand showing off why they are so favored in these matchups, and even to go undefeated in stage 1, this DPS duo is a threat, and the rest of their team also has the ability to back it up. You have some teams where they have this very carry DPS, but their tanks and their supports just can't keep up with it. This is not that team. Godhand has talent all around the roster to kind of play around with what they kind of play to their strengths. Their strengths in Mini and in Austin. The rest of their team is very, very good at also providing that kind of punch they need in those other roles that other teams might lack, even if they have an all-star DPS.
Yeah, down 0-2, ace advantage. They're not out of this yet. They showed some definite promise, especially in the main tank position. Lucksmith doing some work quite a few times. And we'll be able to see if they're able to leverage that and the other advantages they have right after this quick break. Welcome back, everybody, to Overwatch Tranquility, streaming now and all of next week for Rise Above the Disorder. If you want more information on that, type !donate in the chat, because it's a good cause, guys. We're raising a lot of money for a really good cause, and we're having some fun with it, too. We're going to have a Widowmaker Headshot 1v1 tournament, a Torbjorn Hammer Brawl, all sorts of stuff. Talk to your GMs if you want to participate, and of course, the mods in chat are there to answer any of your questions. But for now, we are in a game, folks, and Godhand, they are, well, handing it to Ace Advantage. They're down 0-2 right now. Ace Advantage is really struggling. They put up a good fight on Nepal, but once we got onto Volskaya, Godhand really showed their cards. Ace Advantage, they're going to have to pull something out of hole now if they want to turn this around.
Yep, this is the map to do it. They showed that they like that ball on Nepal. They're very comfortable with it. Kings Row, as we know, gonna be a very comfortable map there um for that ball style. We see it all the time. Scrims Row, yada yada. We know if you've been around for a while, you know we can make all the jokes we can about Kings Row. You probably already heard them. It's just that much of a played map, but even the jokes are overplayed. So we're gonna be have to go again here, and we'll be seeing if these teams do anything different. We might be seeing Mini going back to that Ashe, that superstar Ashe performance he had on previous maps. Probably not gonna go away. Man's a little bit cracked on that Ashe, so seeing what they try and go for here as the assembled hero phase does start. There's actually some interesting things you can do. The high ground on first point of King's Row, and even second point, and especially third point. Third point high ground is extremely dangerous, especially if you don't have something like a Lucio or a Diva to get up there and contest something. We can see that open up here for Godhand to go back to that style they love with that Tracer or with the Reaper and that Ashe or kind of a Widowmaker kind of style to try and control that high ground and those line of sight angles. But we're seeing if that's what they go for and what Ace Advantage even wants to look for.
Yeah, it's not going to look like any sort of sniper defense for Godhand. Instead, gonna be sticking with Mini on this Doomfist, which did kind of go on a tear on Nepal when they showed their face. Meanwhile, Ace Advantage, a very standard isolation brawl style composition. I like the Mei pick here. Andy has been challenging Lucksmith a lot, but Lucksmith definitely going toe to toe. Put the Mei in there, give Lucksmith an advantage. Ace Advantage might be looking a little better in that main tank duel.
Yeah, and we do see here again that very different style of one team loves that Baptiste and one team loves that Ana, the playmaking. And you even see starting up here, Kitten on that high ground, looking for the anti-nade on the backline. The Diva not going to be looking up here. This could be a massive start. That into a speed boost into them, and it's a massive anti.
3 purple, and Bold is the first to fall. Figanox is down next, and that's going to be it for this push. Ace Advantage, they're trying to stabilize a little bit, and it's a clean isolation play onto ice, but that's the only advantage that will be afforded to them, as Ace Advantage going to be forced back into spawn. Godhand holding strong on the first point of King's Row.
Yep, and you can't really do that again from Kitten, or else the Diva will kind of chase you around. But that was a very good start. Now we see Bold actually swapping over the Widow. We'll see if this is a permanent pick, or if he's going to swap right back to that McCree off of the Reaper. Now this is their chance. You have the Mei, you have the McCree. This is where you're going to need to deal with that Doomfist. If the Doomfist goes in or you hear him charging up, look for him, try to stun him out, and try to burst him down. But now the wall should be coming out here soon onto the enemy team to try and split them. Okay.
Yeah, Andy isolated, but Mini to the rescue with a punch into the back line, isolating Figanox to be taken down by ice. Now, this is looking good. A man advantage for Godhand, and they're looking to continue that. Just a barrage of bullets shot in by the McCree right click, and that's going to be Ace Advantage with a clean withdrawal from Godhand's territory.
Yeah, and we do see here this is a good setup available for Godhand. Now Doomfist taking on that role of where Kitten was before, looking for that backline. Bold has to be perfect with these flashbangs, or else Mini's going to get all the space in all the damage in the world. But now you have the Nano available for that Doomfist to go in and one-shot the enemy McCree.
Uppercuts Bold above the immortality field, and that's not all they got. Drop it down onto the bus, catching Tenacity as they wall right on top, looking for safety. It's a clean team wipe from Godhand.
Yeah, and they're just not expecting the aggression to come out here from Godhands. They're fighting them past the choke by the bus. This is not what you see teams normally play. This aggression was shown on Volskaya defense as well. This team is just so good at changing things up, changing up the pace of the game. But now Kitten's been found out. They're going to have to save her.
And the grab is going to buy enough space for Kitten to survive, even with Slim Spy trying to chase him down. Cube going to be getting the countering sound barrier to let Godhand get aggressive once again. Ace Advantage, they have a bank of ultimates, but they don't want to use them quite yet because they're down 3. Very good discipline right there. They're looking for one final fight with only 1:30 left.
Yeah, and Kitten there on the high ground getting forced out, but does get the bubble that he needs to survive, and the grab also to peel, and the D.Va just too far extended into the back line. Just not able to do what he needs to do on that D.Va to get the value. But now you come in here, you have the ultimates available, you have the Mei freeze. This is going to be massive. You get a wall off on the Rhine, get the freeze in, try to burst him down as soon as possible before an anti-nade or a sleep can come in and ruin your day.
Yeah, the immediate wall into Andy, but the shatter is there. Andy gets booped over the car, though. Doesn't get a chance to let it rip. The bomb, though, from Slimy Spy is going to buy a lot of space for Ace Advantage to stabilize after wasting so much shield, but with Andy getting the nano boost, there's not a lot to stabilize around. It's just going to be the supports huddling around the lamp, but it'll eventually be extinguished. And Ace Advantage, they are now down to 30 seconds left. 3 ultimates. What can they do with them?
Well, what you're going to have to do is you're going to try to get that wall again. But this time, don't ignore Mini. You now have the bubble on the Zarya. This will allow them to save whoever Mini goes for. But now you just have to focus on winning the front line and kind of mitigating what Mini's able to do. Zone him off with that McCree. But instead, the aggression coming in now. Mini going to be going forward with this Graviton Surge.
Ooh, and Kitten not able to hit that grenade, and that's going to be crucial as this is a huge freeze right now. The turnaround from Ace Advantage, he cannot slipped around into the back line, and that unexpected Mei wall preventing any retreat. It was exactly what would shut down Godhand. One clean fight. That's what I said, worse. That's all they needed, and that's what they got in overtime. But unfortunately, that didn't work out well in Volskaya. We'll see if they're able to turn this one clean fight into a map victory this time on King's Row.
Yeah, and you did see that this is just kind of like what happened on Volskaya. You kind of hold the 4 minutes, and then you lose the last fight due to a overwhelming ult disadvantage. But now here, you will be seeing Kitten on that high ground again. He's going to be looking for that anti-nade. We're going to see here... We're going to be... Okay, we will be seeing if they will be looking to get this anti-nade in the back, going for the very long aggressive flank. See if it pays off.
And they do catch one, but Fikanox, they're just going to hide inside a nice block, cleanse themselves. They can't cleanse a shatter, though, as Fikanox and Bold knocked to the ground. A second of no damage from Ace Advantage, but they're back on their feet now. Andy going to be frozen up. The nano boost, it keeps them alive, but it lets them not do any damage as Mini goes down, going too deep to find tenacity. Ace Advantage, with their spawn advantage, is looking to push the advantage all the way to the 3rd point right now.
Yeah, and this advantage, they push, they shout. They have the Baptiste ult available. This is very difficult to push into if you are on the side of God Hands. You don't have a D.Va Matrix to eat that damage. There's only so much damage you can eat with Zarya Bubble. So we're going to see the Baptiste ult is going to have to come out early before, as they're trying to engage to try and get as much damage down as possible onto the enemy front line. Grab to supplement.
The only hope right now is Mini in the back line, undetected, looking for some sort of flank. They punch in right as that high noon expires. Now, through this amplification matrix, Ace Advantage looking for some sort of follow-up, but Mini getting the kill that just when they needed it, finding Everett as soon as the amp matrix expires, snowballs into a fight win. Now, it's looking like a nice opportunity.
Yeah, and you do get the defense here going up, but you have Fikanox with that Mei ult, the Blizzard. This is what won them the fight on first point, so this should be exactly what they need here to push to the 2nd point as well. But you have Mini with that Doomfist ult. He can go ultra aggressive here with the bubble, with the Doomfist ult. If he can pick the Ana, or the Baptiste, or the Mei before the fight starts, this could be their chance to win this fight and just take them out.
Oh, but it's a big shatter, just ignoring Lucksmith. MTD walking through the shield with not a care in the world. There's only 7 seconds left. I'm not sure there's any hope of stabilization. Bold hoping to get back out, maybe to get some sort of touch in the end there, but that fight was over as soon as it began. That amazing play from Andy cracked open Ace Advantage.
Yeah, hard to get that Blizzard off when you're on the ground shattered, and Mini there not missing a beat, noticing that everyone has been shattered by his main tank, goes in and takes them both out with that supreme uppercut on the Doomfist, and wrapping up that round there. for Ace Advantage, not as far as you would like to go. Streets phase, while not the worst point to get held on, it's still not the ideal, as getting to that second point, getting through that second point isn't the hardest thing that you can ask of God Hands here. So we're gonna have to see a stellar defense coming out here from Ace Advantage to save this round, this map, and the series and in the long run. So what we're seeing here, well, we do see a Widow, an early Widow here. Maybe they stay on it, try and control that high ground, grappling into Hotel and kind of zoning the enemy team back into the corner, giving your team the ability to walk, to give more space, because they get just so scared of the Widowmaker. This is interesting. I doubt they're gonna do this. I think they're just memeing with the Pharah, perhaps, getting themselves low in spawn, maybe looking to. But we see the Mercy swap. No, okay, never mind. They were just debating me. Of course, debate debate the color caster. It's not like I have to talk about comps enough. But we'll be seeing here what they can do. Freaking on that Mei, looking to lock down any tanks that could be. Yeah, and we will be seeing just kind of some of the comps of what we saw in the first round. Thank you for that entire debate in the beginning.
Yeah, but this pick-based composition is going to be swapped off of Worsted going over to the McCree. Mini sticking to this Doomfist, which I am not criticizing. It's just that you don't have a lot of ways to escape the CC. Gonna be just using up your utility. Get out of there. Now, Orsted going for the flanker in the back and just barely getting out that immortality field, but now Everett doesn't have it to save their team. They used it on themselves, and that could be crucial as they are smashed. The oncoming storm, that is God Hand. It's just gonna be a clean stomp now, worse. There's nothing Ace Advantage can do.
Yeah, you're so far behind now on all tempo, not only on your DPS, but also your supports that almost have the nano available for Kitten. Back can win you a fight outright. The nano onto the Reinhardt, the shadow available. Just put down enough damage onto that shield. The McCree just right click into it a couple times, and you should be good to go for that fight. And then you're gonna come up to a fight where your DPS then have cooldown ult. Your Zarya then has ult. It's gonna just be very difficult. You're gonna have to find value outside of the ult with this wall. Really your only way to get a clean pick here if you are Ace Advantage, but you do have this choke, so getting that wall pick isn't the craziest thing.
Yeah, but that was a nice shatter right there. Ace Advantage going to be reeling from that one, but, well, without a shield, you're only reeling into the grave as Orsted cleans up, and it's going to be pushing onward. That Golden Box victory growing steadily closer for Ace Advantage.
Yeah, now, like I said, you have the other ult available. Mini has his ult. McCree ult is available. The Zarya ult is coming up. And Slim Spy is so far behind. Almost 30 to 40% here. But they do have that main Blizzard. They're saving Grace. And they have this Baptiste ult to come in here. This is going to be the aggressive use of the Baptiste ult to try and retake the point. And it's their last hope.
Roasted with the flank. They weren't expecting this one. The behind the back plays have been the staple for God Hand this entire time. And capitalizing off of it, you know they're not going to drop it. Kitten will fall, but they get the revenge kill on the Bold as God Hand steals this match away. Going 3-0 over Ace Advantage. Of course, we still got one more map for you folks, so don't go anywhere. But God Hand showing why they have been undefeated thus far. Andy. Oh my word. I was giving Lucksmith a lot of credit, but Andy just ignored that other main tank to get some amazing plays of their own throughout this entire map. Truly a spectacle to behold on the jolly old streets of London.
Yeah, and you actually have a lot of good stuff here from God Hands. You have just a lot of that just felt like a tempo advantage. You could see that on the defense especially. The God Hands is playing faster than their opponent can, which really runs to the detriment of a composition like a Mei. The Mei is a lot slower. They have to set up their ultimate. They can't just chuck something in there for fear of it not hitting enough people or not having setup. So you have to kind of go faster than that setup, and that's what they did with the Doomfist. The Doomfist is an actually amazing pick there from Mini because it allowed them to just go full-on aggression, even against the Mei, where they're not as afraid because the Doomfist is actually going to be taking some of that threat away from the approaching Reinhardt and put it on the backline, because the backline either has to put all of the resources into killing the enemy Reinhardt in hopes that the Doomfist doesn't counter the pick that you would get on the Reinhardt, or you have to send at least some attention back onto the Doomfist to make sure he doesn't kill everyone. And well, Mini killed everyone, so seems that they couldn't really find what they needed to do there to take that map.
Yeah, and we attributed a lot of Godhand's victories to clutch potential, and we can't deny that it's there. But I do have to give a lot of credit to the prep time Godhand has clearly done throughout all of this. Like, look at the rotations, the holds that Godhand has been doing on their defense. It's so carefully coordinated. They're like, okay, this time we're going to go from a high ground left hand attack with Kitten on the high ground behind, get the anti-nade. This time it's going to be Mini up there. This time it's going to be Kitten again, but there's going to be a Zarya there to bubble them this time because we know blah, 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 blah. They have these on lock. And the constantly changing defense is a puzzle that Ace Advantage just couldn't figure out in order to stay in this series. But like I said, they do have one more consolation map, and it's going to be Junkertown, where they fight to get at least 1 point on the board in terms of map differential.
Yeah, but this is a map that plays a lot to Mini's strengths. The snipers. Well, I say Mini's strengths, but it's not like he can't play other things with snipers. Like we just saw his Doomfist was incredible. So I don't even know if it's his strengths, if it's just Mini being Mini. But you do play to the kind of the strengths of God Hands as a whole, I guess, because you saw in Volskaya they were very well practiced at kind of that playing with that Ashe, playing the kind of style of, like you said, the shifting defense, where the first they play really slow. They give a little bit of map control, right? Then you lure the enemy into this feeling of, okay, we have the time to push up. Then the second fight you play a little bit closer, and you go, okay, then we have a little bit more. We have a more time to rotate. And then third fight, they're in your face. They're not giving you the time to rotate, and that just can just throw your balance so out of whack, especially when their Ashe can keep moving and can keep hitting that shots they need to hit. But we'll be seeing if that's what they go for. Similar here, a little bit more of a line of sight heavy map for those snipers. The Widow or the Ashe can go far right or far left, and yeah, you kind of have to. If you are the side of Ace Advantage, you haven't been showing snipers so far, except for the Volskaya where you did kind of get rolled a little bit, but that's not indicative of the players, I would say. So maybe they are confident in that Widow or Ashe tool. So we'll have to see if that's what they want to opt in for.
And one little tidbit I do got to point out, Orsted was running the Widowmaker last time, and it is very feasible that if Godhand wanted to, they could switch over to the double sniper that we're going to see Ace Advantage be running on their attack right now.
Okay, yeah, I was seeing Mini on Doomfist, and I wasn't as confident in it. On King's Row, I do like it a lot, but on Junkertown, not so much. There's not a lot of closed space for you to get those punches into walls and to get out that you really need on Doomfist. So I do like the swap over here to the double sniper. Looks like a classic double sniper mirror, but interestingly enough, we don't see the Orisa. Instead, we're going to be seeing the Sigma Hog. A lot less shielding, but a lot more threat of picks with that Hog hook. We'll be seeing if that pays any dividends here. And again, a Mercy here for that pocket, playing so much harder into those snipers.
This is a lot of damage, a real glass cannon composition Ace Advantage is running right now. Got to be playing the sight lines, because as soon as you get out into that open area, you want to have already won the fight. Because you have no shield, really, to, well, shield you.
Yeah, and now we're going to be seeing here the Hog playing the point, but the Hog really needs to start flanking like he's doing right now. Moving into that Mega, looking for the backline. This Hog going for the Sigma's an odd choice. That's one of the most tanky members you could have picked instead of that back T. So now he's gonna get found out there and killed quickly with that rock.
And oh, it is going to be Mini taken out early, and with Phoenix being rezzed up, the spawn advantage is going to let Ace Advantage push a little farther. The double shield is tough to break through, but with both the snipers down, Ace Advantage don't really have to worry too much. Bold can take some bold angles and really not have to worry about being punished, because they're still waiting on Mini and Orsa to get back from spawn. But even if they do get back, they're already gone. Board
yeah,
and
oh, keep going. Okay, so we will be seeing here, I'm taking this point here, you don't really have much available for either side. You do have the BAP ult available here, but you can kite it out very easily on the Junkertown point, but you do have that halt. This is going to be a halt up top here. This Hanzo is in danger. They managed to fall back, good enough. But now the Zen is going very aggressive. This aggressive position from Aurora on the Zen could be a problem because the Widow and the Hanzo can get a lot of angles on you. Unless you get the angles on them instead.
Yeah, we have been seeing some good sniper play from both sides. I feel like Ace Advantage have just been getting the lead based on being a little unexpected from where they attack. I mean, Bold on this Widowmaker can just go to some crazy places. But it's going to be the immediate Gridic Flux going to catch them. That Transcendence going to go into the low ground, enable the Resurrect onto Lucksmith, but, well, that just meant both of the supports would be down there just in time for the Dragons to arrive, and the Pain Train isn't going to spare them.
But now they've picked the Zen, so the Zen's not going to be here for a very long time. Very slow character, despite being able to float. You'd think they'd put some rockets on his back and he would just be propelled forward as fast as possible, but no, instead they've opted for a slower design. But now you'd be able to take the high ground here. No threat from that Discord, no pull Discord that can instantly burst even the tankiest of characters as they're going to try to push you as hard as possible.
Yeah, and this is looking nice right now. Godhand slowly turning up the heat, and Ace Advantage have nowhere to go. One by one they fall, and it's the consistent chip damage that gets followed up upon by the snipers that makes it a real deadly threat. Obviously, Godhand don't have that mercy anymore, but Boredom will be back soon enough.
Yeah, oh, a nice hook there finding Mini will give them an opportunity, but I was just saying, before these picks have come in, I was going to say you can't push into them with this composition. Your Hog and your Sigma need to be disconnected. Your Hog needs to be looking for flanks onto the back line. He can't just run into a choke because he doesn't offer anything into the shields because the hook gets blocked by the shield, and then you have to force your breather out, and then you're just a sitting pig. With the Discord orb available, but now they have all the space, and I want to see this Hog going on the flank again. Just playing the straight up fight into the shields isn't what you're going to be able to accomplish very much on, unless you just hog.
So much space taken by the Dragons and the whole Hog at the same time. Andy trying to fire back with the Riddick Flux, but the fight was already over, so a little bit questionable right there. Kitten finding Tenacity is nice again, but Everett just going for a celebratory Transcendence on point. You know, do a little dance, sing a little song.
I'll do a little bit of the disco there, getting the lights ablaze, and maybe a little bit of a rave going on there from Everett. Already celebrating the map, apparently, as they cruise into this third point with 3 minutes and 40 seconds, a respectable time bank. But now, you're going to have to contest with this high ground that is available for the defense, and you're going to have to get your Hog set up in a position where he's not just out in the open, because he is a very, very mid-rangey character, and this point is not very favorable to him. Finds two! Nasty from Worsted.
Finding the Valking Mercy as well, despite all the strafing, the res just makes it too vulnerable. And with that, it's just going to be Ace Advantage getting all the way out of there. But you got to play careful. Godhand, they have lost one too many people to getting cocky during these cleanups and eating a hook to the face.
Yeah, that's what the Hog can punish. Very sloppy play, but not something I expect from Godhands, to be fair. A little bit of an uncharacteristic fight losses there. But we'll be seeing here them holding here. The sniper's already set up here on the side of Godhand. It's going to be very hard to trench them, even with this line of sight. As I say that, Everett becoming the sniper himself and taking out the Widow.
Not even that. I mean, that is just a really aggressive flank right now from Slimy Spy. Looking more like Spy TF2 right now with how often they are in the backline. But that, like you said, playing disconnected from the team is the name of the game when you're playing Sigma Hog, and Ace Advantage are getting more of an opportunity to do that now as they round the bend.
And now, coming into this last fight, you have the Bongo available here for the Orisa. This is going to be critical. If this Bongo is placed in the spot where it can get its value, then this could be quite an easy fight that's just too much damage for the Sigma and the Hog to live through. Not enough shielding and damage mitigation. But if it's in a position where you can get a flank angle off and kill it, then that's the fight. That could be the fight going to Ace, as you've lost one of your most powerful ultimates, and only with the you don't have the trends yet to save maybe a lone tank.
That Dragon gonna go through the low ground, but Mini cut off from their lifespan. Andy finally getting some perch from that Gridic Flux, going to be using it in a winning fight scenario this time, and that is going to pay dividends. Unfortunately, Orsted going down means there's no more snipers on the side of Godhand, but Tenacity, oh my word, the sniping duties away from Bold on the Valkyrie, but it's going to be a hard regroup from Ace Advantage.
Yeah, and you still have that bongo available, so the same still applies. And again, for Ace, you have to just look for some flanks off. Great hook down to the Sigma. That should be the death. Even through the Transcendence, there's just too much damage. And the Gravitic Flux to follow up, trying to get some damage on this Mercy trade. But this is Ace Advantage. Ace Advantage playing that tempo game just way faster than God Hands can play at the current moment with their current composition, and maybe turning the game in their favor.
The reversals from Ace Advantage have been insane. Constantly worse. They have just been turning fights around based on one tiny mistake from God Hand. Even if God Hand might be playing a little more consistent, Ace Advantage, when God Hand lets up the gas a little bit, Ace Advantage is there.
Yeah, but you have some key picks coming back down from Orsted, allowing this fight to stagger out, and the spawns are just so much closer. If you are God Hands, that it's just... But the Hog is back, and Mercy's on the point! Pistoling! I don't think that's where you want to be, Mercy, but it doesn't matter, because Minnie's back on that Tracer, onto the back line already, and now it's just a staggered out fight. Both these Mercy's pulling out the pistols instead of the stabs. They are out for blood today.
Other leagues, they don't have these map 4 games. You don't get to see this kind of play. Let's be real, folks. This is what you come to Trank for, because this is fantastic. But now we're getting into the real down-to-the-wire Overwatch as Mini goes for the cleanup onto the stalling Tracer, and they've already built up a pulse bomb in the 11th hour just to get the cleanup, just to get one for the real, as they are going to end this overtime right before the crest of the 3rd point. Ace Advantage is held. As God Hand, they do give themselves a win condition. If they get to the end of that 3rd point, they are going home 4-0 over Ace Advantage.
Yeah, and you saw there the fight just staggered out too long. Too many picks coming out there on the for the side of God Hands that Ace Advantage just couldn't sustain on the card for very long. And even though it looked like they were in the fight for a long time, that doesn't mean you're getting progress or that you're even getting value from that fight. And in the end, it just came down to it that Mini, back on that Tracer, managed to find flank angles onto the back line, getting more picks as time went on. They just couldn't sustain on the cart long enough. It was just a slow grind down into a fight win there for God Hand. But now, moving on, I'm expecting very similar compositions from both of these sides. But on the defense, the Sigma Hog has to operate a little bit differently. You can't... Your Sigma is going to, again, you're going to be playing disconnected with that Sigma and that Hog, but your Hog is going to be looking to control the flanks instead of trying to push the flanks, because if you push the flanks on defense, you could easily lose a fight for your team just by getting a random slept, randomly CC'd in some way and just dying, so you have to kind of control the flanks. Wait for the snipers to peek them, and then that's where you strike. The Hog in the water, the Finn coming up with it's just Hog with his scrap gun out of the water, and he's coming looking for the snipers.
Well, snipers, they're not going to find, because I think they are actually sticking with this composition. Double main healer, double main tank, double dive DPS. This is going to get dicey, folks.
This is actually pretty interesting. I think this is actually okay. If you are on the side of God Hands, it's actually a pretty okay comp to... Okay, as I said... okay, if you don't get one shot by the Hanzo, it's pretty okay, because you can actually walk at the Sigma, and the Sigma can't actually do much about the Reinhardt walking at him, because he doesn't have a lot of those tools that an Orisa would have, like Fortify to kind of survive it, or the pull to create distance for them. So I think that's actually pretty good getting in their face and trying to mitigate the sniper's ability to do the damage. That's the job of the Genji. But and the Moira apparently, but job not done.
Mini has gone all the way back, but Bold just buys time, letting the mine do its work before they finish Mini off. And now Fikanox on a rampage on the front line, 1 tank, 2 tank to their name, and that's going to be the push from God Hand taken away.
Yeah, I don't know what really happened there with the Moira going into the enemy backline high ground and finding a pick, but it doesn't matter because Slimmy Spy will be taken out here by Mini swapping over to that Widowmaker, unsuspected there as the Nano's coming down.
Yeah, nice Transcendence to cancel out the Shatter, but the 360 nano boosted charge is nothing a Mercy can survive. No scenario in which that goes well for you. as the cleanup comes out. Godhand gonna be switching off this composition now. They didn't really get a chance to do the nano boost, and I'm not sure if Orsted is gonna go for the blade. I mean, you've already won, so they might stick with it, but Godhand, if they want to get all through the way through this point, they need a better way to contest the high ground, which is why we're gonna see Mini on the Widowmaker.
Yeah, so apparently they've been sending the Moira to contest the higher ground, but instead we'll have Mini here trying to win this sniper duel. It's actually quite difficult here for a lone Widowmaker to fight into two snipers, especially when one of them has a wall hack on a very short cooldown, unlike Widow, who has an ultimate wall hack on a much longer cooldown. But we'll be seeing how Orsted chooses to look value for this blade, but instead he's gonna die. The kid.
Yeah, if you're gonna be clutch, this is the time to do it. But with Tenacity and Picanox down early, this could be an opportunity. Slimy Spy on the high ground. It is going to be the one playmaker that might still be available for Ace Advantage, but instead just gonna retreat back to their team. Get that one last closing pick as 5 minutes dawn for Godhand to get through most of point 3.
Yeah, and now you have the blade available, no nano, but you have coalesce. May I dare say, might we see the fabled coalescence blade coming out here from the side of Godhands? No, maybe the bongo blade with the coalescence? Bongo coalescence was a very big double shield combo, but bongo blade is a very big very big Genji combo. Yeah, it's coming. Here it is.
Here it is, but no combo whatsoever, and the Naked Blade is just going to be taken out. Lucksmith going down, though, is going to be crucial. That elimination going to crack this point wide open right now as Godhand go back to the point. They were in the spawn a little bit there, but this set of kills is going to give them the advantage they need to round the bend, especially with Everett going down so late.
Yeah, Everett was actually hiding for his life, shaking in the back line as the Moira hunted him down. But we will be seeing here 4 ults available here if you are on the side of Ace Advantage and the Bongo. Even though it's a massive ultimate, could it win the fight for them solo? Is the question.
Slimy Spy finding Orsted, but the only kill so far. Boredom on the point is going to fall, though. This is looking good. 2 hooks, 2 kills for Slimy Spy right now, and with 3 seconds on the clock on their hook, they almost got another one, but Bold stole it away from them by winning against Mini.
Yeah, and you did use 3 of those ults there, but you have built up the trance. You now have the trance almost available for this Gravitic Flux. Now this is the question. Will Godhands play fast enough where he doesn't have the trance available? That could be their win condition. If you set up the Sigma ult to make it so that you do it right before he gets trance, that's one, a tilter for the Zen, because he's just spamming Q hoping it comes up. And 2, that's going to be how you win this fight, because after the trance comes up, your only win condition is down.
Ooh, and with Picanox going down so early, there's not a lot to inhibit the tanks of Godhand. Now with the Nano Boost, Andy is poised to take this victory, but Slimy Spy, as always, is there with the pick. This Roadhog has been coming in clutch. They've been filling their role well, and now they're on to the middle ground, the front line, to just get as much damage with this whole hog as possible, clearing so much space for Bold to happily shoot away.
Yeah, and you've survived the Gravitic Flux, you survived the Nano. Now you only have to worry about Mini with that Widow ultimate, but Bold has his own to counter. And then coming from that, it comes down to the snipers. Who finds the head first? Or do they find the head of a unsuspecting support, perhaps? But then pushing on after that, you really don't have much available. You're just trying to get this Gravitic Flux as fast as possible. If you are Ace Advantage, going well as Orsted here with this Hanzo ult, they could find out if this Sigma's really far forward, they could maybe pick him with that.
A huge opportunity right now. Kitten finding Lucksmith, maybe off of a sleeper right there, but that might just be enough. Now Andy coming up on this Gravitic Flux. We've seen them do work on before, but Everett finding Boredom is going to make this push that much harder. Aurora going down again to Slimy Spy, has not been able to dodge these hooks whatsoever. That main healer has been the target of bullying again and again and again for Slimy Spy.
Okay, so this is what's gonna happen, okay? Kitten is going to nano the Moira, and the Moira is gonna press Q, and they're gonna kill 6, okay? That's what's gonna happen, because you don't have the trans available here if you are on the side of Everett. Your other win conditions are kind of the Flux, but what you want to do is, if you can force out cooldowns, force out anything you can with that Nano Coalescence, the Flux should be free enough to actually just kill the entire enemy team. So one of those two things is going to happen. Either the Coalescence is going to kill everyone, or the Flux is going to kill everyone. So we'll see what God Hand decides to go with.
The only thing you're not accounting for, my friend, is if that hook finds its target. Slimy Spy is on the high ground, a prime opportunity, and Kitten does go down before they can use the Nano Boost. Coalescence committed anyway, but the Transcendence was built to. Now, 1 down, 2 down to the Coalescence. This is looking good, but the spawn advantage is still there. 3 down to Aurora. This could easily be playing the game right now if they're able to clear this out, as this is looking good. It's just a Sigma on the point. They're looking to push this all the way into that golden box victory. The Star Heroes are coming out now. It's going to be bold on the Tracer, the last hope for their team, and the cleanup has not come out. Slimy Spy is going to get a chance to touch on this Wrecking Ball, but it's all staggered now. No ultimates left on the side of Ace Advantage, and I don't think they're going to be building them anytime soon as the point flips. God Hand goes up 4-0, getting a clean victory over Ace Advantage, and holding their spot cleanly as the undefeated, not champions, but kings of Indigo Group B. And this is Surge Light. I feel like Andy has gotten this play every single time worse. And I don't disagree with it, but this is just phenomenal tanking right now. That 360 charge through the Transcendence, it warms my heart, I tell you.
Yeah, it very impressive here coming out from the entirety of God Hands as they maintain their dominance. This is the team to beat right now. They're seeming a little bit unstoppable, 4-0ing or 3-1ing people left and right. This is going to be the story not only of this stage but of possibly other stages of who can beat this team, who really has the ability to take out this team in a best of 5.
And that really is the question. I mean, it, when you have a dominant team like this, there's usually a lot of material to study, and I feel like Ace Advantage did definitely push God Hand enough that you're able to study what God Hand actually wants to do, figure out the counter, especially with those tiered defenses where God Hand was really, well, running the show, running the tempo against Ace Advantage. Now, that is going to be difficult to counter. But going into the future stages of Tranquility, I'm pretty sure someone will be able to figure it out. Will it be Ace Advantage? Well, you'll have to stay tuned in to find out.
Yeah, continue to support these teams and these players hopping over. And this trans tier will be here every Wednesday. Um, not every Wednesday, actually. We're moving on to moving on to community stuff next soon. So be ready for that, as it's for a good cause as well. If you are able to exclamation point donate in the chat, it's for a very good cause. It's um,
Yeah, and that community stuff we mentioned, as we said briefly before, all sorts of stuff. Starting on Monday with the podcaster 1v1s, $10. And you can 1v1 anyone on the podcast team on a hero of your choice. That could be exactly what you need if you want an incentive to donate to Rise Above the Disorder. If you want more information, again, exclamation point donate before you leave tonight after the broadcast concludes, because next week, all sorts of features coming at you live. But for now, I have been Keela Miles, casting with the worst Overwatch player, but pretty good caster if I do say myself. And of course, Booth on production. I hope you all have a wonderful night.
have a